Welcome, everyone, to our first DSB Leadership Public Speaking Podcast. My name is Danny Brown. I'm one of the co-hosts for this program. I'm so excited to be joined by my identical twin brother and co-host of this program, David Brown.
Thank you, Dan. I'm thrilled that we are on this platform together. We're both passionate about what we do and supporting professionals and helping them to become more effective communicators. It is our goal to provide tools, training, coaching, resources to help them discover their authentic voice and then empower them to be able to influence and inspire not only their organizations, but also their communities and family as a whole.
Wow, I cannot wait to dive into this topic. This topic is very incredible, very personal to me. I actually remember the time when I first began public speaking. Today's topic is really all about speaker anxiety, speech construction, and body language. I believe that improving and mastering public speaking skills is one of the most vital things a leader, heck, anyone should be able to do for his or her career. In fact, we will discuss this in upcoming episodes on how communication is a cornerstone for the leadership unit.
So Dan, let me go ahead and just ask, because I know people are going to be looking at our podcast, watching our podcast, listening, and they want to know who we are. So Dan, why don't you start by telling people a little bit about who you are, your background, and what inspired you to want to get into speaking?
Well, first of all, I would have to tell you that I have a very unique background. I was in the military. After the military, I, of course, went to Howard University with you for college. And then from there, graduate school and began my career in sales. So recently, I was a global VP of sales, head of channel sales. I am a fractional head of sales for small, medium-sized businesses. I'm an entrepreneur, and of course, I'm also a partner with you at DSB Leadership Group. So for our listeners out there, DSB Leadership Group is a communications and leadership training company. Our niche is public speaking. And I will let David tell you a little bit more about DSB Leadership Group, and which the podcast is entitled. Just in case you don't know, David and Danny, our first letter of our first name is D. The initial of our middle name is S, and of course, our last name is Brown. And that's where you get this whole DSB in the leadership group aspect. So I just want to let everyone know what DSB Leadership Group means. I recall the way I felt the very first time I decided to run for office was in high school. And while I didn't win, now I tried to do a strobe light and some music, CNC Factory, if you guys don't know how old we are. And I try to get that going, hype myself up, come into the room and say, hey, welcome, here's Danny Brown. So I'm trying to get everything going. Well, first of all, the strobe light wasn't working properly. The music wasn't working properly. Everything was off timing. And so I had a lot of different things that just didn't work out in the beginning. But I still had to push through those insecurities. I still had to push through the doubt and worry about, are the people in high school that are going to make fun of me? So I had to keep going. I decided to give my speech. And though I didn't win, I still learned a lot about myself. And I realized I don't want to stop. So while I was at Howard, I ran for Mr. School of Engineering. And when you run for a school position, it's like a pageant show. You have to do a performance. You have to put on an outfit and all this choreography and everything else and give a speech. And I won. I won Mr. School of Engineering. I was really excited about that. And that actually allowed me to run for Mr. Homecoming King and all that stuff at Howard University as well. But it's really, really one of the things in my life that I felt like it propelled me. Every opportunity I got kept propelling me to move forward and forward and forward. So now, later on in life, I have two incredible daughters. My wife is amazing. And the funny thing about it, she's also an entrepreneur. She has her own business. She consults with women and women executives, and she speaks in front of women all the time as well. So this is quite amazing that Dave and I get to work together, and quite amazing that over all the years, we have wives that also are incredible speakers as well.
Yes, I appreciate you sharing that, Dan. And I would say that our wives, to a certain extent, if you listen to them and the passion they have, the way that they articulate their words, they're probably better speakers than we are. And plus they're better looking. So it's great to have that. But I really appreciate you sharing a little bit about who you are, Dan. I want to let the audience know a little bit about myself and my background. Even though we're identical twins, we're so different in so many different ways. And that's why I love this platform. So we can share our personality, our conviction, our thoughts. while you went to school for engineering, you've got that IT, that programming brain. I'm kind of a little bit on the other side. I'm an idea guy, went to school for business. And people say, well, Dave, how did you get into speaking? And a lot of it was just watching you. You're my older brother, you're my twin. And the way that you went up to really go for offices, go for different positions, we weren't afraid. But I want to back up a little bit, Dan, in case people need to know our story, okay? Because I bring 26 years of experience as a minister, as a professional speaker, training other leaders, training different organizations, and speaking their presentations, their ability to go and influence the masses. But it all started as military brats. And what happened was we were living over in Germany, and our family, my dad said, Dave, I want you and your brothers to figure out where we're going to move. I'm going to retire. Okay. And so you and I and our other brother had to put together a presentation. And I remember talking about wanting to move to the state of Washington. I wanted my dad to retire there. And I won out. So I beat you, Dan. I don't know if that's the case necessarily, but we didn't move into Washington State.
Only once.
That's where he, only once. And that's where he retired. Okay. And that's where our family kind of really stabilized. We finished high school there. And then from there, we went to college. And much like you, when I was in college, I also have a college story. My freshman year in the School of Business, we both went to school at Howard University, the Howard University. And basically, I wanted to become the president of the International Business Society. I didn't run for a School of B. I don't know why I didn't do that. But I wanted to become president of the International Business Society. Now, up until that point, from my understanding, there had never been a president that was a freshman. There had never been a freshman, as a matter of fact, as an officer of this club. And this club had literally over about 150 students. And I remember talking to the advisor at the time, why can't I be the president? Well, we definitely recommend you get yourself situated at campus. You understand the life of a college student. Plus, you don't really know the history of this program and what we're trying to go after. I said, no, what do I need to do to become the president? I want to take over the world. That was kind of like my mindset. And so we had to give a speech in the auditorium in front of all these students. I don't exactly remember everything I said, but I do remember that I was right there. I won the crowd over, became president of the International Business Society. And you could say the rest is history, but there were so many incredible things that were done. But that's what I bring to the table. It's the excitement, the zeal, the passion, the idea. And so while we partner with DSB Leadership Group, and as Dan mentioned, we provide trainings, workshops, and coaching to really help organizations and professionals be the best and most effective communicators they can be. This is what we're passionate about. Now, Dan mentioned his wife. I mentioned my wife. I've been married almost 22 years. We have 2 children, one in college, one in high school. It is amazing what you learn from your own kids on how to become better communicators. Sometimes we can take for granted our ability to shape and influence them. And then we go to organizations and realize we got to shape and influence the organizations that we're a part of. That's what we do. So let me ask this situation, Dan. We talked about our backgrounds as speakers, what got us excited, why I love speaking, all the weddings, all the sermons, all the workshops, all the classes. You also, in your world of being a sales director, being a VP of sales, you had to represent your company oftentimes at conferences, at different types of workshops. Tell me what that was like, not only to just represent your company, but also be able to speak on a stage in front of thousands of people. What was that like for you?
Well, I would have to say, if it wasn't for the younger years of being comfortable, learning to overcome the anxiety of whether people will accept my message, whether they accept me, am I credible? Will they laugh at me? Do I look right? Do I sound right? Am I standing right? There's so many things that could go wrong. Would I stutter? There's all these things that could go wrong, but year after year after year, beginning from high school, going to college at Howard, and learning through those aspects of running for office, being a public servant, that has really helped me. In the last couple of roles that I've had, most recently before starting my own business, I was a head of global sales and channel sales for a international company that was a Microsoft distributor. I would travel every single week, 4 days a week. I would be on the road somewhere, speaking at a conference, speaking at a road show, even being the MC at a cloud virtual conference, where I was in charge of every aspect of introduction, the welcome, the intro, the closing. At times I felt like I was a stand-up comedian because if I felt the crowd was a little down from a previous speech or something else, I would have to find a way to get them excited again. So that's really where it all began. And when I looked at that, I realized earlier in my year, public speaking was going to be very important. is going to be very, very important. I cannot tell you how many opportunities I've received
Right.
from organizations to ask me to come speak, from conferences willing to fly me down to come speak. I'm nobody. I'm just a little known individual, but they've heard me. They've seen me. They've watched other people tell stories about how I was able to speak. And it all comes back to a great quote by Warren Buffett. You know, Warren Buffett said that if there's one skill set that can increase your value by up to 50%.
Yep.
You want to know what that is? That's public speaking.
That's right.
Public speaking is so important. It could be the deciding factor to closing a deal. It could be the deciding factor from obtaining a desired role or a desired position. Even when people say, look, I don't sit in front of people all day long. I don't stand in front of people. I don't speak in front of people all day long. And I say, are you a sales development rep? Are you a business development rep? Are you an account manager? Do you get on the phone every day? Are you a customer service rep? Are you on the phone every day? Can you imagine being on the phone and being monotone? Hi, thank you for calling, da, 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 da. Or you're excited.
Right.
As a customer or a potential customer, or if you would call me a prospect, I'll be so much more willing to trust you because you're passionate, excited about what you do. It's not always about being in front of people. Learning to invest in yourself today will pay off a lot more in the future. I mean, wouldn't you say the same thing, Dave?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, Dan. It's learning to invest in yourself. It is realizing that at every level of leadership, you're going to have to learn the tools to becoming more effective, learning how to persuade and influence the audiences. And public speaking isn't just about getting up and speaking before hundreds of thousands like we have. It is even in the boardroom. It's learning to get before your leadership group or your leadership team. It's learning to even on that one-on-one conversation. We're going to be talking about this as fathers who give away our daughters in wedding and giving the father the bride speech. You know, you've talked about the different occasions of how you speak and when you speak. It is so vital. So if I can encourage anybody out there that's listening to our program that you subscribe to our podcast, I want you to realize that the most important thing you could do for yourself, your organization, for your community is to invest in improving and sharpening your own public speaking skills. So I hope that you find that this podcast, our interaction as twins, sometimes we'll go at it, sometimes we'll compliment each other in so many different ways. We want to encourage you and inspire you to learn what we're learning on how to be able to become more effective as a speaker. So thank you all for listening. This is just our intro podcast. I hope you're going to get hooked. You're going to get captivated by this, but there are ways that you can follow along, not just through the podcast, but you can go visit our website, and that's dsbleadershipgroup.com, dsbleadershipgroup.com, all the different, what we call online social media platforms. Just look up at DSB Leadership, at DSB Leadership. These are ways you can keep in touch with us because we want to see you on every single episode. Go ahead and get a hold of us, email us, send us the topics you want to cover. We're going to cover everything about public speaking, as Dan mentioned earlier, about how to master your speaking skill set, how to be able to conquer the stage, how to be able to overcome speaking anxiety, how to use body language to your advantage. These are all the different things we're going to talk about because they all have to do with leadership, and you are an incredible leader. So invest in yourself, follow us, and we'll go ahead and see you at the next episode of the DSB Leadership Speaking Podcast.